Hello, everybody. Marvin and I are back for a special nighttime, end of February 2025 SP video. Um, no, we just were speaking to a client who's gotten some really spectacular results after struggling getting into a relationship that felt right. Shortly after working with us, uh, manifested a wonderful relationship that seems to really be going places in a very natural, flowy way. Um, but we were just speaking to this person, and we had a really interesting exchange with them. And we did the Joseph Murphy series a couple of weeks ago, and Marvin and I always talk about how like you have to be careful when you get advice from friends and family when it comes to this stuff. And this was a great example of why that's the case. So yeah, Marv, do you want to just explain what we discussed with our client and kind of the general situation that we see all the time, and how it can be dealt with?
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I've been paying close attention to in the SP community and just relationships in general. And before Tim and I even had this conversation, this conversation sparked back up in my head because recently I had watched a video, and the video was it was this this woman, this guy, this husband, and he on his it was his birthday, and he didn't want to do anything on his birthday. He didn't want to do anything. And the woman, his wife or whatever, she was kind of upset or whatever. It's like, why don't you want to do anything? I want to do this, da, 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 da. And she basically turned the birthday into it being about her instead of the birthday being about the guy. And that realization hit me again tonight when we were on our call with whoever we were talking to. And it made me realize that situation I just told you guys about. It made me realize, and I've known this for a long time, but it just when these instances happen, it smacks you in the face again. It makes me realize men don't understand women and women don't understand men a lot of times. A lot of times women go to women to get advice and men go to men to get advice about women. Women go to women to get advice about men, and they never really go to the source. And we're at this basically antagonistic state right now and have been for quite some time is because we don't understand each other. And Tim and I are SP coaches, but I want you guys to understand, above all else, Tim and I are polarity coaches. The reason why people get results when they work with us and why we get results in our lives is because we understand polarity. And a lot of these coaches online, in my opinion, they don't understand polarity. And they just tell you do a technique, not understanding the polarity behind the technique, not understanding that polarity is what's going to keep you understanding men, understanding women, what to do, understanding you need to know what to do when you're in a relationship once the relationship is established. And this is something that I just think, frankly, a lot of people in this community do a terrible job with. And so if you want to call us SP coaches, cool. But Tim and I, what we're really is we are polarity coaches. And we were talking to somebody recently, this client that Tim was talking about, and they had mentioned, their friend giving them some advice, and the friend had said to talk to them and just say, well, when you next time you see your specific person, just ask them, what are we? Right? That's what she said. Just just go to your SP and it hit me during the conversation. That's a very people don't realize how dangerous you can be because that's a very feminine perspective. And you hear that type of stuff from a lot of women is what are we? What are we? Right. And people don't understand a lot of times, in my opinion, the timing, because timing of this question is important as well. Because this person, they wanted them to ask their SP, what are we, in the midst of their SP being away on vacation somewhere. And, they haven't been talking, they've been talking for a little while, a couple of months or whatever the case might be, hasn't been a year or that long. So the fragility in the situation, in my opinion, was you could say it was there because that conversation could have easily, if this person had took that advice and decided to ask whoever their SP was, what are we, especially when you haven't really been talking or dating for that long and you've only seen each other maybe once,
In person.
you know,
Right.
in person, that conversation for you to ask that person, what are we? And to take that advice from your friend. Now, don't get me wrong. We all know your friends and family mean well, but 9 times out of 10, they're usually on your side. And you got to be careful with that. And so this person, obviously, they've been working with Tim and I, getting great results, but they didn't go on to ask that question to their person. But my mind immediately went to, what if they did ask that question to their person? That the downside or of what could have happened potentially if they had listened to their friend and went and said, okay, oh, what are we? And how detrimental that could have been, especially when you're on vacation away in whatever country you're in. You're not even back to where you're supposed to be at in the States, you know, with your SP or whatever the case might be. You know, so and again, that situation reminded me of the little polarities that people don't understand. Again, women at times, they mean well when they say that type of stuff, but there's a time and a place. And I think people don't understand that a lot of times, whether you're a man or a woman. And again, I think this is what needs to be talked about. I don't know if I gave a pretty good example of that, Tim, of what kind of happened with us, but this is exactly what people need help with when they are in the process of manifesting a new SP, or they're in the process of trying to maintain a SP if you already have one. These are the little types of details that you have to be careful about. And so what Tim and I are trying to do is, and what we realized in just having this session with this client, is helping them understand, be aware. And these little polarities are what you got to be aware of. And that not to just get caught up in the technique, because the technique is only going to get you so far usually. You have to understand, no matter how much these SP coaches ignore the topic, polarity exists in relationships. That's what makes relationships start in the first place. You know, and that's what makes relationships last, is when that polarity can still be there, because opposites attract. That's what they mean when they say opposites attract. You know, masculine attracts the feminine, feminine attracts the masculine. No matter if you're in a homosexual relationship, heterosexual relationship, whatever the case may be, that polarity exists. And coaches don't talk about that enough. And this is exactly why Tim and I get great results in working with people. And with this person right now that we're telling you about has gotten great results. But yeah, I don't know if I did a good job or not with that, Tim, but you can go ahead.
No, you did. I mean, it's difficult because we like to keep our clients, we like to keep everything private. But it's the lack of understanding of like the energetic interplay in a relationship, where there's always going to be a masculine energy, there's always going to be a feminine energy, and that can switch. Sometimes one of the partners can be masculine and another time they can be feminine. Obviously that happens, but generally speaking, there's these interplay of energies, and that's the polarity. And if you, first of all, a lot of people just are not aware of that at all in the SP community and in general. And then if you go to friends and family, even if they mean well, they are just, like Marv said, not going to understand your situation objectively enough, and in all likelihood not going to understand the energetic interplay between you and your SP, you and your partner. So for instance, in this situation, without giving away any specific details, this person, our client, they went to someone where she had been in a relationship with a guy for, it seemed like a year or something like that. And she was wondering with the guy, what are we? And she didn't get that answer, I guess. And so she was worried about that happening to our client. Guess what? Totally different fucking situation. Don't go to your fucking friends or family to talk about this shit. So, our client has been working with us long enough to not immediately take this advice and to sit on it. And then we confirmed with them tonight, like, yeah, it's good you didn't fucking ask, what are we with your SP, because it was totally energetically inappropriate given where they were at. Things are going well. You're flowing. What is it? Downstream is opposed to upstream, to give an Abraham Hicks metaphor. We were talking about that. Things are flowing well. And what they are is, frankly, Marvin and I think they're in a relationship already. But if they're not, that is going to naturally be clarified in the next month or two. You know who's not going to tell you this shit? Your friends or family, or anonymous people on Reddit or YouTube commenters. You have to go to a coach or a relationship therapist or somebody who doesn't have their head up their butt when it comes to the polarity and energetic stuff. Like we always say, and Marv just said in this video, it's not usually about techniques. It's about understanding the kind of the energetic dynamics of a couple, whether it's, male, female, male, and working with that. And I feel very blessed. An inadvertent manifestation when I was like 18 years old, freshman at Emerson College. I had to read this book by Carol Gilligan called In a Different Voice. Some of you probably know it. I read that book and it was like, holy shit. I didn't like college much, but that book was, that was probably worth the price of first semester tuition. Shout out Carol Gilligan. Yeah, these dynamics, I think Marv and I, both of us have always been interested in them and kind of understood them perhaps more than some people, not to toot our own horn, but it's just something I think both of us have been into for a long time, and we've utilized them in our own life. I know personally, I really experimented with energetic interplay for good and bad, did a lot of silly things, but also learned a ton by doing silly things. And most people in the SP community are clueless about it. And as Marv said, as we always say, this is not just about getting your SP in a relationship, it's about keeping them. So we got to focus on polarity and energetic interplay a lot to understand this stuff better. And then once you get it, guys, once you understand it, it becomes like second nature. And instead of being this like logical thing, it's intuitive. And your relationships with everybody improves. And again, as always, the cheat code, genuinely practice the golden rule. That's how generally speaking, to get your energetic interplay working better. And then, the masculine, feminine stuff, it will make more and more sense. We can help you with that, or a skilled counselor or therapist can help you with that. As always, if you want to work with us, information is below in the description. Marv, any final short or long words?
Short or long words? No, not really. I think you just summed that up perfectly. Just remember, this is the real work you guys need help with, not technique work, polarity work. You need help understanding whether you're in the same sex relationship or heterosexual relationship, especially heterosexual relationship, in my opinion. You need help understanding the opposite sex. And like I said to start the video, in that example I gave you, the woman, and she got upset that her husband didn't want to do anything on his birthday. Well, it's his birthday. Why are you making it about you? This is the type of stuff that Tim and I help people with, but even in homosexual relationships, there are people in homosexual relationships who are more feminine and they don't want to be the one that's doing all of the chasing. They want to be the one that is doing the attracting, And so again, that dichotomy exists, And so this is why it's important to not necessarily focus on technique, but focus on polarity. And if you're really looking to do that, there's no other place to look other than Tim and myself.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk to you when we talk to you. Carol Gilligan in a different voice. Didn't think we could mention that tonight. All right, we'll see you guys later.